his mother
Bob,
had been a dualman.
You got any waterman stories in Dallas?
Well, one little thing went on over, but we had, actually, him and I had a couple small boats built down at Chesapeake. They were twins, they were just alike, and we were working together. We would go out, you know, stay together most of the time, work with them. We had been out one day, nipping, and come in, put our oysters out, and, you know, it leaves a lot of mud and stuff in your boat. So we left the wharf over the creek and throwed some water in the boats, you know, the regiment, and went on, you know, rowed out to sort of rinse the boats out a little bit. And, you know, you would have a plug in the back of it. You pull a plug out. If you go fast enough, it'll bail itself out. And we would go side by side, and I was just a wee bit ahead of him. And so I caught something out the side of my eye, and water way up in the air going up there. I looked around, and he'd run ashore over there with Mr. Guinness's, that bar on the sandbar, right? He wasn't paying attention to where it was going. He was pulling the plug in the back of his boat. And run ashore, I guess he had next to this table of sand in back of him with his and I thought he fell overboard. I couldn't see him. I made a circle real quick, go looking for him. And he was crawling out from underneath his culling board when I got out. He was throwing it from the stern, curled down underneath his culling board. He lost his hat. Still had a cigar.
Bob, I'll tell you a Dallas story. Dallas did not approve of me and was constantly harassing Ralph. That Ralph didn't keep me at home. Constantly. So at one point in time, one winter, I slipped on some ice, broke my upper arm. He comes up to Ralph and she can't go out gallivanting anymore. I'm thrilled to death that I broke my arm. That was Dallas.
Happened one day too. She was in there. She always did painting inside the house. She was painting the wall one day, and he come in there and kept telling her how to do it. Well, she put and she laid everything down. She said, "You're gonna leave, I'm gonna throw you out." She even took the brush once, but started making big X marks and stuff like this. I thought, this is how you do it. There's a man said, I'm going to show you how to do it.
Was he ever married?
No.
No? Nobody'd take him.
Doesn't sound like it.
Dallas did not believe in water on his body. He kept complaining about how his legs hurt so bad, and this is gross. You could smell Dallas coming if the wind was blowing right. And I said, well, go home and get in a bathtub full of hot water and soap, you'll feel better. Well, I might as well have killed him. It didn't happen.
He was a vampire.
No, he was a good friend, is what he was. Yeah.
And he could find a mud puddle out in the middle of a desert. I used to try at one time, try to keep the truck fairly clean inside, and I always rode him around with me a lot, everywhere I got. And before we get home, if that mud floor would be getting mud as a hog bed, sometimes I didn't even remember him getting out of the truck. But he could find some mud, I can tell you.
Now he, at one point, if I remember correctly, he left town and went and worked in Baltimore.
Mhm.
And I can't remember what he did. Do you remember, Nancy?
No.
But he went up there for a stint and worked, and then came back to Claiborne. I don't think he liked it that much.
They lived around in what they call the Grove.
Uh-huh.
They lived around there for a while.
Where was that, Nancy, the Grove?
It's around where Dee Dee lives, only they were on the other side of the street.
Ah,
I don't know why they called it the Grove. I have no idea.
People told us that he had narcolepsy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He did, okay, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
That's why he couldn't drive. He could ride his bicycle, but he wasn't allowed to drive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would say him sometimes just stop,
Yeah.
stop.
He could ride the bicycle slower than any person I've ever seen.
Nancy before that.
His feet would hardly rotate, and the bike would be as steady as a rock.
Yeah.
And he was, Nancy's got a picture of him, he'd upright as can be, and the bike would just be moving. Where I was
It's 1 mile per hour.
Yeah,
Well,
that's it.
Pete gave him a ride home in my car one day, Bob, and I understand what you're saying about what happened to the inside of it. What happened to you?
Did you get a picture of this?
Oh, this is beautiful.
Bob, when did you quit hunting muskrat trapping?
When did I?
Stop. You were doing it when we moved here.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
I don't know, I stopped several years ago.
Do you ever see him?
I really haven't been, I tell you, I guess I can't walk too good, so I don't bother around the marsh much anymore.
I haven't seen one in a long while.
Actually, no, I haven't seen one, but then on the other hand, I haven't been looking.
Bob, where was the marsh?
Yes.
What do you do, put a trap there? Or?
Yeah, around the shore, around the marsh, around the shores, but I see the runs, they had a little runs.
Right.
And what were they used for after you caught them?
What we do with them?
Yeah.
Well, you sell the fur and eat the meat.
Did you eat muskrat?
I love them.
Darn right.
Really? How do you cook them?
Good.
Bob, how would you cook them?
She cooked them in the oven some kind of way. I don't know what did. I don't know really.
They baked
Sort
it?
of what it was.
When I went down to the west side, they still had, and I guess they still have in January, a big muskrat dinner down at Bivalve Fire Company. And the muskrat I had, which I didn't intend to eat muskrat, I was told, creature, would you like to try the marsh rabbit? I told the man, I said, you're this close to death, you shouldn't lie to a preacher. It had a lot of sage in it. The way they cooked it, it was very heavy on the sage flavor. But you got to pick all these little bones out.
They're very good, I think. You have to have taste for them, I guess. But
Well, how about the
I
nutria? Now, aren't they
don't know
similar?
how them I.
Or were they bigger or something?
They're
bigger.
We don't have any down this way.
I've got them back in my house.
Have you got them? Uh-oh.
Muskrats?
Nutria. Nutria. So I don't have muskrats.
I guess you don't have anything, but
I
I
don't
don't
like
think
nutria.
It won't be long for you to have.
No,
them.
it's
not.
We're really
South
South
America
America or something, but it can survive our mild winters and not our really cold winters.
They were brought in further south for the fur trade. And they've just taken over a lot of places. the
See, that's
nutria.
what's happened over at Dover Bridge. You see how all the mud flats over there? At one time, you could go over there, you couldn't count the muskrat houses you'd see there.
That's right.
Yeah.
But you never see one, there's not one
Yeah.
around. And you didn't see all those mud flats either, it was all marsh. That's what happened
Yeah.
over here.